All praises to the Most High, Yahweh Bashem and Hawashai, Bahashem Raha Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, laboring in His truth in all sincerity. Zechariah, chapter 10, verse 12. KJV. And I will strengthen them in Yahweh, and they shall walk up and down in His name, saith Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai. This article is from the Times of Israel, and it's titled, Immigration Drill Tests, Israel's Readiness for En Masse Ingathering of Exiled Jews. This was published on November 27th of this year at approximately 8 p.m., 8:11 p.m. So, learning from mistakes following Russian invasion of Ukraine, ministry simulates 10,000 immigrants inundating country over 2 weeks as it tries out newly formed plan for smooth absorption. The situation: a major anti-Semitic incident in a country with a large Jewish community has triggered a mass exodus by thousands of Jews fleeing to Israel. Hundreds of new immigrants arrive daily seeking refuge and expecting to be swiftly absorbed and integrated into Israeli society. While the scenario is unlikely to occur in the near term, by all indications, it's far from out of the question, and enough of a worrying eventuality that Israel's immigration and absorption ministry is drilling for what to do if or when it does happen. This is an extreme scenario, but it's not an apocalyptic one. Immigration and Absorption Ministry Director General Avikai Kahana told the Times of Israel, It's a scenario that could happen anytime in the near future, and we want to be prepared. On Thursday, about 100 representatives of different government ministries, nonprofit organizations, and essential services crowded into a small room at the National College for Israeli Resilience in Ramleh for a day of role-playing and simulations to prepare for such a mass immigration event. The mission was to examine the country's systemic readiness and prepare strategically for a situation where 800 people immigrate every day for 2 weeks in response to a state of emergency in their home country, bringing more than 10,000 people to Israel in a short span. And I'll stop there. Pretty much get the gist of it. Once again, this is off of the Times of Israel if anyone is interested in reading that. And that, once again, is the title, Immigration Drill Test, Israelis' Readiness for En Masse Ingathering of Exiled Jews. So I went to AI Overview for a little bit more detail. Yes, the Israeli government recently conducted a war game to simulate an emergency mass exodus of Jews from other countries and test its plan for their absorption into Israel. This exercise, which simulated the arrival of 45,000 Jews fleeing a collapsing country, once again, this exercise, which simulated the arrival of 45,000 Jews fleeing a collapsing country, was designed to assess readiness for such a scenario and involved analyzing different aspects of evacuation and integration plans. Purpose of the exercise: the simulation was a response to a worst-case scenario and aimed to prepare for the emergency immigration of Jews from a country experiencing collapse. Scope: the exercise involved planning for both the evacuation of immigrants with an E from their home country and their absorption into Israel. It included simulating a large number of arrivals, estimating 800 arrivals per day for 2 months. Context: this comes after events like the 2025 emergency airlift to bring citizens home following potential strikes, and as some organizations have called for a mass exodus of Jews in response to rising anti-Sem. So let's go back to my initial scripture here, Zechariah 10 and 12. This time I'll read it in the NLT. By my power, I will make my people strong, and by my authority, they will go wherever they wish. I, Yahweh, have spoken. So if they're conducting drills to prepare for a major event regarding an emergency mass exodus of Jewish people from other countries or a collapsing country back into the state of Israel, then obviously Zechariah 10 and 12 does not pertain to them. Zechariah 10 and 12 clearly states, by my power, I will make my people strong, and by my authority, they will go wherever they wish. I, Yahweh, have spoken. And in the KJV, that says, and I will strengthen them in the name Yahweh. And I will strengthen them in Yahweh, and they shall walk up and down in his name, saith Yahweh. So if you're able to walk up and down in the name of the Most High, you're able to go wherever you wish to go. You wouldn't need to be conducting any types of drills like this. You're conducting a drill based on an anti-Sem event in a collapsing country in which you all have to simulate fleeing back into the state of Israel, which is completely contrary to what Zechariah 10 and 12 states. By my power, I will make my people strong, and by my authority, they will go wherever they wish. I, Yahweh, have spoken. But we know why you're fleeing like rats constantly. Let's look at Exodus 17 and 16. NLT. He said they have raised their fist against Yahweh's throne. So now Yahweh will be at war with Amalek, generation to generation. So you got good reason to be running scared. But there's no amount of simulated preparation and there's nothing that you could do right now that's going to prepare you for the wrath of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. In the KJV it says, for he said, because Yahweh hath sworn that Yahweh will have war with Amalek from generation to generation, so you can conduct all the drills you want. Nothing is going to offset that. So you're basically screwed. When the Most High has declared war on somebody from generation to generation, you're always going to be fleeing like rats like this. So let's take a look at Jeremiah chapter 32, and we'll compare and contrast that with this particular verse right there, Exodus 17 and 16. So Jeremiah 32, 37 and 38. The subheading is a promise of restoration. 37. I will certainly bring my people back from all the countries where I scatter them in my fury. I will bring them back to this very city and let them live in peace and safety. They will be my people, and I will be their power. And that's a far cry from what the Most High was saying in Exodus 17 and 16 about having war with Amalek from generation to generation. When you look at Jeremiah 32 and 37, the Most High clearly states, I will certainly bring my people back again from all other countries. The KJV reads as, behold, I will gather them out of all countries. Not taking planes and conducting drills, and even when this thing really does happen, because let's be honest here, for the simple fact you're doing an exercise, that lets us know everything we need to know, that something is eventually about to happen now, because generally whenever a military, especially the U.S., conducts some type of military drill, in the next few days or weeks, something actually happens. So when you look at Jeremiah 32 and 37, I will certainly bring my people back again from all the countries where I scattered them in my fury. I will bring them back to this very city and let them live in peace and safety. Right, you're not living in peace and safety because, for one, the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai didn't put you there. You were put there by a declaration, going back to 1948, but that's another story altogether. The Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai did not put you in that land. And that is why you're not living in peace and safety the way Jeremiah 37, 32, and 37 in the NLT reads. They will be my people and I will be their power. This is not about you. This is why you don't say you can't say the Most High's name. You got to come up with tetragrammatons and everything else except the true, holy, righteous, mighty name of the Most High. His name is Yahweh. And his only begotten son's name is Yahweh Shai. Let's look at Isaiah 52 and 10. NLT. Yahweh has demonstrated his holy power before the eyes of all the nations. All the ends of the earth will see the victory of our power. So if all the ends of the earth shall see the victory or the salvation of our power, that's not what's happening right now as far as these drills that you're conducting. The Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai didn't say that his people would be conducting military drills in preparation of an anti-Sem event that will lead to a mass exodus back into the land. In fact, he says just the opposite. If you look at Exodus 14 and 14, the Most High says, Yahweh shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. NLT, Yahweh himself will fight for you. Just stay calm. You scurrying around like rats and for all of these generations, and as recently as just a couple of days ago with this exercise in preparation for something that's about to go down, you're not staying calm as this particular scripture says, because you know that the Most High Yahweh is not fighting for you. In fact, he's at war with you from generation to generation. That is the reason why you've been running all of these past millennia. You have no peace any place you go. There's no place that you can go where you can say you've been at peace. Because that goes back to Exodus 17 and 16. The Most High Yahweh has declared war on you from generation to generation. And like I was stating earlier, for the simple fact you're conducting a military drill lets everyone know that some type of false flag event is about to go down, right? So before I go into 2 Corinthians, let's look up false flag real fast here. False flag. A flag flown to disguise the true identity or affiliation of a ship. 2. A political or military act orchestrated in such a way that it appears to have been carried out by a party that is not, in fact, responsible. Once again, you're conducting a drill, and we all know that from past experiences, whenever these type of military drills happen or they start going down, it's just a matter of time before there's an actual event that takes place. 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. NLT, so that Satan will not outsmart us, for we are familiar with his evil schemes. Let's look up devices real fast.
Strong's G 3540. Naima.
Okay, so that is devices. A mental perception, thought, an evil purpose, that which thinks the mind, thoughts, or purposes. So once again, we're looking at some military drills going down, basically in preparation for an anti-Sem event that will lead to a mass exodus back into the land of the state of Israel, I should say. So once again, 2 Corinthians 2 and 11. lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. I think a lot of people who are aware of this drill pretty much are all thinking the same thing. It's the timing of this is just, something that cannot be overlooked. Let's look at Psalms 98, verse 2. Yahweh hath made known his salvation. His righteousness hath he openly shewed in the sight of the heathen. Yahweh has announced his victory and has revealed his righteousness to every nation. So if the Most High has made known his salvation and revealed his righteousness to every nation, but you're still scurrying like rats, then it becomes clear who these imposters actually are. You are the unrighteous. You're the wicked. And this takes me to Proverbs 28:1. The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. So I'll close it out with my actual initial scripture here, but let's reread Proverbs 28:1. The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. And then we come right back here to Zechariah 10:12. By my power I will make my people strong, and by my authority they will go wherever they wish. I, Yahweh, have spoken. And that is because the righteous are going to be put back into the land. Right now, the wicked is in the land. And just like Proverbs 28:1 said, the wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. The reason why the Most High is able to put his people back in the land and they can go wherever they wish is because they are the righteous. Right now, the wicked is occupying the land. I pray this has been edifying and reaches the ears it's supposed to reach. Shalom.